6 men have been sentenced to a total of 55 years in prison after being convicted for their part in a high-value organised drugs conspiracy. In 2022, officers from the East Midlands Special Operations Unit began investigating an organised crime group headed by the Oadby-based Steffan Simon. Simon had previously been convicted for conspiracy to supply Class A drugs, for which he received a 10-year prison sentence in mid-2011, and less than a year after his release, he was legitimately employed as a parcel courier. However, it was quickly established that Simon was using his legitimate employment as a cloak of invisibility from the authorities by using his work clothing and vehicles to provide cover for the fact that as he was legally working, he was at the same time continuing to supply large amounts of Class A drugs across Leicestershire. Officers identified that Simon was working alongside his trusted Lieutenant Julian Jeffers, himself also a convicted Class A drug supplier, to assist him in the storage and transportation of cocaine and heroin that was being supplied onwards to Clyde Wallace in Leicester and Mohammed Mia in Market Harborough. Mohammed Mia was using his brother, Turon Mia, to collect and deliver Class A drugs on his behalf. Again, both Wallace and Mohammed Mia were individuals that had previous convictions for the supply of Class A drugs. In August 2022, detectives were able to put Simon, Turon Mia, Mohammed Mia, and Jeffers in contact together, following which Turon was stopped by officers in his car at a petrol station in Markfield. Hidden under the passenger seat was a bag containing a kilogram of heroin and a kilogram of paracetamol and caffeine mix. Around 2,000 in cash was also found inside the vehicle. The arrest of Turon Mia was the start of the evidence gathering to show the contact between the other individuals involved in the conspiracy to the supply of drugs. After his arrest, contact ceased between Simon and the Mia brothers, and Mohammed Mia turned his attention to sourcing the drugs through a different supplier, namely Imran Molaji. As the investigation progressed, a warrant was executed at Jeffers' home address. Cocaine and heroin intended for onward supply were recovered, along with weighing scales with cocaine and heroin residue on them. Mobile phones were also found inside the address, one of which belonged to Simon and contained the contact numbers for Mohammed Mia and Wallace. In September 2022, a drug exchange took place between Mohammed Mia and Mulaji, and Mia was detained as he returned to his business in Market Harborough. He was found to be in possession of almost 10,000 worth of heroin and cocaine, which was later forensically linked to Mulaji. A subsequent search that took place of the business premises found heroin, cocaine, and a cutting agent, and a tick list and drug debts owed to Mia, as well as 16,690 in cash, believed to be the profits from the drug supply. Between November 2022 and January 2023, the investigation team was able to attribute at least 17 occasions there had been supplies of Class A drugs from Simon to Wallace, sometimes directly or sometimes using Jeffers as a middleman. These drugs, once received by Wallace, were broken down by him and sold onwards. In January last year, as Simon was driving and was heading to meet Wallace, he was stopped, checked by police officers on Loughborough Road in Leicester, and informed he was to be subjected to a drug search. During the search, Simon threw an item onto the ground. This item was found to be 11 grams of cocaine, clearly intended for onward supply to Wallace, as it matched the usual smaller quantity of drug that Wallace would onward sell. This was further confirmed by the fact that As Simon was being detained, Wallace began making relentless efforts to contact Simon by phone to see why he had not yet received a supply. Simon was arrested, and as he was being interviewed, a search was conducted at an address owned by the associate of Simon that he was known to be in regular communication with. A search of the bathroom within the address. This highlighted a loose area of tiles, panels, and found this was over half of kilogram of cocaine, along with around 4 kilogram of boric acid, a commonly encountered cutting agent for Class A drugs. The cocaine alone was worth over 55,000 in sale value, but combined with the boric acid, value would have been significantly more. Simon was later forensically linked to the drugs recovered from this address, and furthermore, a search of his home address found around 5,000 in cash stored in the freezer. Between May and June last year, all of the men, along with the 7th suspect, were rearrested, interviewed, and subsequently charged. Imran Mullaji, 39 of Halstead Street, Leicester, pleaded guilty to conspiracy to supply Class A drugs and possession with intent to supply Class A drugs on the 25th of June. In November 2023, Simon Jeffers, Mohammed Mia, Churon Mia, Wallace, and the 7th suspect, a 52-year-old man from Athens, all stood trial at Leicester Crown Court for conspiracy to supply Class A drugs. Wallace also faced a count of possession with intent to supply Class A drugs, and Simon and Mohammed Mia also faced counts of possessing criminal property related to the recovered cash. Altogether, this gang was sentenced to over 55 years for their part in this conspiracy. Please like this video, please comment, and I would love it if you could subscribe to my crime channel. Thank you.